If you were looking for Mac Mini M5 leaks, rumors, and a review of what to expect, you need to hear about these newly leaked details before you buy a new computer. Right now, a lot of Apple fans are worried about making the wrong choice. The M4 Mini was just redesigned, but since Apple is already putting the M5 chip into the MacBook Pro, everyone is wondering if they should wait to upgrade their compact desktop. Now that we know the stakes, let's talk about when this new chip is actually coming out. Rumors from factories and Bloomberg reports point to a mid-2026 release, probably around Apple's summer event. Leaked code already shows Apple's internal model numbers for the M5 Mac Mini, specifically J873S and J873G. Because the M4 Mini came out so late in 2024, Apple is waiting a bit so the current model has time to sell. So if you want this tiny PC, expect it to launch in spring or summer 2026. Release dates aside, what exactly is powering this new machine? Since the base M5 chip is already out there in other devices, we don't have to guess. The M5 Mac Mini uses a newer, much faster 3nm design, known technically as the N3P node. This isn't just a small step up, it is a massive leap for Apple Intelligence. The M5 has a special AI booster called a neural accelerator built right into every single graphics core. That means it handles AI tasks over 4 times faster than the M4. Plus, memory speeds are jumping by almost 30%, hitting a massive 153.6 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. And for the M5 Pro models, rumors point to a new internal layout that actually splits up the processor and graphics blocks to keep the machine cooler under heavy loads. All of those specs sound incredibly impressive on paper, but how do these rumored changes translate into real-world use cases? To figure out if you should buy the M4 now or wait for the M5, we need to map out the exact ways people use this machine, so you can decide which bucket you fit in. Let's break down the 4 main types of Mac Mini users: the everyday streamer and casual office worker, the smart home server builder, the gamer, and the pro-level creator. Starting with the first bucket, the everyday streamer and casual office worker. If you use your computer to watch YouTube, browse Safari with a dozen tabs open, write emails, and occasionally edit a family photo, you are in this bucket. For you, the difference between the M4 and the M5 is going to be virtually invisible. The M4 already has an incredibly fast processor that handles basic daily tasks flawlessly without breaking a single sweat. If you fit into this category, there is absolutely no reason to deal with buyer's remorse or hold off. The base model M4 will feel lightning fast for years to come. But what if you fall into the second bucket, the home server and smart home hub enthusiast? The Mac Mini has quietly become the ultimate machine for running local home servers. It draws very little power, sometimes sipping less than 6 watts at idle, and it is completely silent because the fan rarely ever needs to spin up. People love running software like Home Assistant, Docker containers, or a Plex media server on these machines because Mac OS is built on a rock-solid Unix foundation. If you want a machine to act as the brain of your smart home, automating your lights and cameras locally without relying on the cloud, the current M4 is already massive overkill. Even for streaming your own 4K movies around the house, the media engine inside the M4 handles video transcoding effortlessly. However, if you plan to run incredibly complex, localized AI agents to manage your entire house using voice commands, the M5's upgraded neural engine might give you some future-proofing. But for 95% of home server builds, waiting for the M5 is just unnecessary. Buy the M4 today and don't look back. Now let's talk about the third bucket, and this is where the conversation gets really interesting: the gamer. Historically, Macs have not been gaming machines, but Apple is trying incredibly hard to change that narrative. The M5 chip brings Apple's 3rd-generation ray tracing engine and something called 2nd-generation dynamic caching. What this means in plain English is much smoother gameplay, higher frame rates, and highly realistic lighting and shadows. We're already seeing the M4 handle heavy, demanding games like Cyberpunk 2027 or Resident Evil 4 at very playable frame rates, sometimes using translation layers like Crossover. But the M5 is heavily optimized for Apple's new Metal 4 framework, and it's rumored to deliver a massive 45% graphics uplift over the M4. If you want your Mac Mini to double as a living room console that can actually chew through modern, graphically intense titles without stuttering, the M5 is the first generation where waiting makes a lot of sense. Finally, the fourth bucket is the pro-level creator and the AI tinkerer. If you're running local large language models, generating images with AI apps like Draw Things, or rendering incredibly complex 3D scenes in Blender, the M5 is going to be a massive game changer. The inclusion of a dedicated neural accelerator in every single GPU core means heavy AI workloads will run up to 3.5 times faster. That 30% jump in memory bandwidth, hitting over 150 gigabytes per second, is also crucial. Because Apple uses unified memory, that massive pipeline allows your machine to load massive AI models entirely into RAM without bottlenecking. It also speeds up everything from exporting 8K video timelines to compiling thousands of lines of code. If your computer makes you money, and time waiting on a render bar is literally money lost, you should absolutely hold off until summer 2026 for the M5 or the M5 Pro. That covers the performance and the use case buckets, but will the outside of the machine look any different to match all this new power? The short answer is no. Apple just gave the Mac Mini a big redesign, shrinking it down to a tiny 5x5-inch box. They're going to milk that exact look for at least the next 5 years. Expect the same incredibly small footprint, the same front-facing ports, and the same thermal cooling system that blows air out the bottom foot of the device. The base M5 will stick with standard Thunderbolt 4 ports, while the M5 Pro model will keep the faster Thunderbolt 5 standard for moving data at extreme speeds. Which brings us to the final verdict on this upgrade. Figuring out if you should wait for the M5 Mac Mini is all about knowing yourself in your workflow. It will be the most powerful mini PC Apple has ever made, but you shouldn't necessarily let the fear of missing out dictate your wallet. If you're in the casual streaming bucket or the basic home server bucket, the M4 Mac Mini is an incredible value today, and you should buy it right now. But if you fall into the heavy gaming bucket or the intensive pro-level AI bucket, the architectural leaps in the M5 are worth the wait. Watch this video on screen to compare the Mac Mini M4 versus the Mac Studio M2 to see what fits your setup right now.